Hello class, this is Mr. Parsons here. Just want to take a few minutes to talk to you about the Pythagorean theorem converse. And so basically when you think about a converse, you're kind of switching the order of your statement. So an example would be if a triangle has 3 equal sides, then it is an equilateral triangle. So if we do the converse, we just switch the order of the statement. And we could say that if a triangle is an equilateral triangle, then it has 3 equal sides. So we do the same thing with the Pythagorean theorem. With the Pythagorean theorem, we know that if a triangle is a right triangle, then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But if we use the converse, we could say that if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then the triangle is a right triangle. So basically, we're using the Pythagorean theorem to prove whether or not a triangle is a right triangle by seeing if a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So let's take a look at that. The first thing you want to do is when we're looking at this, we want to identify our legs and our hypotenuse. So your hypotenuse is the longest side. All right, and the longest side will be 45, which means the legs are 15 and 30. So we need to see if 15 squared plus 30 squared equals 45 squared. Well, 15 squared is 225, 30 squared is 900, 45 squared is 2025. If we add 225 and 900, that gives us 1,125. That is not equal to 2,025. So therefore, this is not a right triangle. We look at number 2. We want to choose the longer side as the hypotenuse. So we want to do 21 as the hypotenuse, and the legs is 15 and 12. So we're trying to see if 12 squared plus 15 squared equals 21 squared. Well, 12 squared is 144, 15 squared is 225, 21 squared is 441. If we do 144 plus 225, they get us 369. That is not equal to 441. So therefore, this is not a right triangle. If you look at number 3, we want to choose the longest side, which is 30, as our hypotenuse, which means 18 and 24 is our legs. So we're trying to see if 18 squared plus 24 squared equals to 30 squared. Well, 18 squared is 324. 24 squared is 576, and 30 squared is 900. If we do 18 squared, that gives you 24. If you get 24 squared, that gives you 576. If you get 30 squared, that gives you 900. If we do 324 plus 576, that gives you 900. We see that they are the same, and since this statement is true, it is a right triangle. Now, look at the same thing for this. This is similar to what we just looked at. The only difference is only the side lengths is given. We don't have a picture of a triangle, but we still can identify what would be the hypotenuse. So if you look at the side lengths, look at this. 36 is the biggest number, so that will be represented the side length. So we want to do 12 squared plus 24 squared and see if that equals to 36 squared. 12 squared is 144, 24 squared is 576, 36 squared is 1,296. If we do 144 plus 576, that gives us 720. 720 is not equal to, I'm sorry, that was a mistake right here. This is supposed to be 1,296, not 2,025. I apologize. But we can still see that 720 is not equal to this. And so since it's not a true statement, this is not a right triangle. All right, let's look at the next 3. So what I want you to do is try to give this a try. Pause the video, try to work these next 3, and see if you can determine whether or not they are triangles. All right, let's look at this one. 9 squared plus 11 squared equals 16 squared. All right, so 9 squared is 81, 11 squared is 121, and 16 squared is 256. If we do 9 squared, that's if we do 81 plus 121, that gives you 202. 202 is not equal to 256, so therefore it is not a right triangle. All right, let's look at this one. The biggest number is 29. 29 would be the hypotenuse here. So we try to see if 20 squared plus 21 squared equals 29 squared. 20 squared is 400. 21 squared is 441, and 29 squared is 841. If we do 400 plus 441, we get 841. 841 is equal to 841. It is a true statement. So this is a right triangle. All right, and if we look at this one, 12 and a half is the largest number, so that will be the hypotenuse. So we're trying to see if 7 and a half squared plus 10 squared equals 12 and a half squared. 7.5 squared gives you 56.25. 10 squared gives you 100, and 12.5 squared gives you 156.25. If we do 56.25 plus 100, that gives us 156.25, which is equal. It makes the statement true. So therefore, this is a right triangle. Now let's look at some application. Jimmy thinks the window frame in his house looks slanted because the corner doesn't appear to be a 90-degree angle. His wife disagrees. They measure the window and found that the width is 25, the height is 36, and the diagonal distance is 45 inches. Who is correct? So basically, Jimmy is saying that this is not a right triangle, but his wife's saying it is a right triangle. And so we're given the legs 25 and 36. The diagonal distance will represent your hypotenuse will be 45. So we're trying to see if 25 squared plus 36 squared gives you 45 squared. 25 squared is 625. 36 squared is 1296. 45 squared is 2025. 625 and 1296 gives you 1921. That is not equal to 2025. So therefore it is not a right triangle. So Jimmy is correct. Patty wants a triangular garden in her backyard to grow vegetables. She plans to use 3 pieces of edging that measure 7 feet, 10 feet, and 8 feet. Will the garden be in the shape of a right triangle? So we need to see, first of all, look at these measurements. 10 is the largest, so 10 would be our hypotenuse. So we're trying to see if 7 squared plus 8 squared gives you 10 squared. 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, and 10 squared is 100. 49 and 64 is 113. That is not equal to 100. So therefore, this is not a right triangle. And then lastly, the perimeters of the 3 squares are shown. Could the 3 squares be positioned so that they can form a triangle? Well, since the perimeters are given and it's a square, remember the perimeter is the distance around the figure. You add all 4 sides together to give you perimeter. But since it's a square, all sides are the same. So to find the side length, you're just going to divide by 4. 48 divided by 4, 140 divided by 4, and 148 divided by 4. If we do 48 divided by 4, you get 12. 140 divided by 4, you get 35. 148 divided by 4, you get 37. So we're trying to see if 12 squared plus 35 squared equals 37 squared. 12 squared is 144. 35 squared is 1,225. And 37 squared is 1,369. If we do 144 and 1225, that gives you 1,369, which is true, all right, and it matches. So therefore, this would make a right triangle. All right, so therefore, with the Pythagorean theorem and converse, we're just using the Pythagorean theorem to see if we have a right triangle. If a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we have a right triangle. But if a squared plus b squared does not equal to c squared, then we don't have a right triangle. So I hope this helps with our understanding of the Pythagorean theorem converse.